Hello and welcome back to another episode of the CrossFit Harrow podcast. This is episode number 90 and today we've got Sachi. Sachi, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
First question that always goes out is what brought you to CrossFit Harrow?
To CrossFit Harrow specifically, I got a new job in the area, so I was looking for a place to sort of, hang my boots and kick off. My missus does CrossFit over in East London, and I've been to her do it a few times, and I've thought, it looks mental. And I thought, there's no way. I hopped in on an exercise once on a workout, and I actually really liked it. She'd done a couple of workout competitions, a couple of opens and stuff, and I think everyone seems so nice and the community spirit seems really high.
Probably a great way to start, by the way.
Yeah, so I knew I was, maybe it's, for some people I think it's nice to know what you're getting in for. Others it's not.
But I mean, if that's your first ever time on doing it, and workout wise, you might think, holy fuck. But in terms of who's around you, what's around you, the atmosphere.
Yeah, the community's like, there's people get involved that are really nice, and I've obviously been coming here for a while, but I'm yet to meet a person who's not nice that does it.
Yeah. That's good.
But like you say, it can go the other way. I remember when I did the first workout that she did, and we both got in the car after, and then she was like, what do you want for dinner? And I sat my head against the window. It's like, just don't look at me for like 20 minutes. But and then, because I then got a job in the area here, I wanted to find a place that I could try and do it myself. Luckily for me, this is on the doorstep, so yeah.
Aamazing. So with regards to fitness, has it always been a part of you, like growing up? Have you always been very sporty, active?
Sporty, yeah. I got into, my dad's a huge cricket fan, loves cricket. So I started playing cricket when I was younger in secondary. And cricket wasn't as popular. Everyone wants to be a football player.
Yeah, most guys growing up, right?
Yeah, I mean, I turned into that. But when I was playing cricket at school, because no one else really played it, when I was in like year 9, I played like the year 10s and the year 11s and stuff. And then when I was about 14, 15, I just got into football. One of my mates from school played for Wirral.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so I remember I went training with him once, and I'd never played properly. I'd watched it, but never played it properly. And I turned up with like 2 difficult socks on, like shin pads on the wrong legs.
Wrong way around.
Yeah, trying to kick this ball, trying to bowl it at everyone and tell me off. But then because of that, I got into just all sports. And then at school, I'd want to go and play like basketball or tennis or badminton in PE. I used to love PE.
Yeah.
So sport-wise, I was into that massively. Fitness came a bit later.
Bit later. Yeah. And did you, obviously with the accent, did you grow up in London? Or?
No, so I was born in the Wirral, which is like, I don't say Liverpool. People from Liverpool know why. People from London don't. So it's kind of like if you're from Watford and you say you're from London,
right?
And then people say, "Oh, you're from London." You go Watford, and you go,
"That's not that." All right.
So it's like the same thing. But I was born in the Wirral. I moved to London. I was 8, and then so been here
settled
since.
School, obviously primary school.
Yeah.
Do you think, was that a big change for you moving from there to here?
Yeah, I think I was only 8, and then like when you're that young, you've got all your mates and stuff, and it's at the end of the world, isn't it? If you left everyone you've ever known, and you can't believe it. And then especially because it was a bit of a shock in terms of like the city's very different. I think when you're that small as well, I think it was just different in different ways. I think coming to London, it was more where I grew up in the world, and my mum, I'm from like a mixed race background, so my mum was white, both my older brothers were white. In my primary school, I was like one of 2 non-white children in this school, and I remember I think my final year before I left, they had like the news come in or something. Well, not for me, but they come in. Oh, look at him! No, they come in, and they had a picture for like the paper or whatever. And it was my class in the paper, but it was a black and white photo. So you can see all these other children. Now I just like this little mark, bottom of this corner. You can't see me.
That's so bad.
But then when I moved to London, I think it was more multicultural straight away, and I come here 'cause my dad's from London. My dad's Sri Lankan, so straight away I met that side of my family more. And then I went to primary school near Rayners Lane.
Okay.
I think it's near Rayners Lane now. Near Sudbury Hill, like around the corner. And I went there because my cousins went there, so I had people that I knew. But it was just, when you're that small, you think everything's crumbling. Do
you keep in touch? Is there anyone that you keep in touch with? Do you remember, like
from
when you had friendship at school, or they?
Yeah. So I've got a couple of them on Insta. I think Insta's good like that. You can find people after a long time.
It's an up-to-date Facebook, right?
there's one girl on there that I've known her since like nursery because her mum was friends with my mum.
Right.
So I've known her for literally like my whole life. And a couple of the other lads that I knew from primary school, so I pop up and talk to them every now and then.
I can imagine it being quite difficult, but I guess over time and supportive parents and stuff, you can adjust. Because it can, obviously, stuff like that can go both ways, right?
Yeah, I think because I had two older brothers as well, it was nicer. And they're like much older. So my oldest brother now is, good God, what is he? He was born in 1978, so he's 44, and the other one's 42. And then one of them had lived in London when I moved to London.
So it made a bit of an easier transition.
Yeah, and then even though they're a lot older than I am, they were always looking after me. When you're like 16 and your mum's had a baby, you think, oh, I can't bother for this again. But they were always supportive and looking after me.
Because they're quite a bit older, right?
Yeah, massively. Yeah. So they were like, we was in secondary school when I was born.
Wow.
And then, but they used to like sit and play games with me and stuff and look after me.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm really close to my brothers.
Yeah.
And like as a family, we're quite tight knit. Because I used to see my dad really, living in the Wirral, he'd get the train down to Liverpool every weekend. Because he obviously works in London, come down every weekend, see me, go back. So then when I moved to London, obviously I see him more.
And that still happens to a lot of people, right? That both parents or one will work in London and then travel, or even from even further.
Out about, yeah. Because like when I Mum used to drive, so I'd drive to London, but then my dad used to laugh at you used to fly to like Liverpool or John Lennon Airport. It's just quicker. You just fly from wherever.
And sometimes I would imagine that the flights would be quite cheap, right?
Yeah, back then, yeah, probably. And you're still in the UK. Then you need a passport. You just walk on. Can I just pop to Liverpool? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, go
this way.
And you chose. Your occupation is primary school teacher.
It is, yeah.
Teaching quite young kids.
Year 2, yeah. So they're 6 and 7.
What made you get into teaching?
Just my beer. No, it wasn't the beer. I fell into it almost. It was never something I thought I'd do. I went to uni and did sport studies.
Okay.
Because I used to love PE and I thought, right, because I like PE, I don't mind playing sport or doing something around sport for a living.
Did you do the whole sixth form?
Yeah, I did sixth form, I did A-level, I did BTEC sports, sociology and psychology. And then applied to go to Southampton.
And you got it around here, right?
I went to Norfolk High.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's not too far.
Yeah.
And then I thought I would be a secondary school PE teacher because I thought in terms of sport, it's a bit more
just lined up, right?
Yeah, and it's always, I've thought, even when you do it in school, it's more sort of technical, it's more advanced. In primary school now, it's like, catching, throwing, balance, like the simple things that you obviously need to know. But when you get to secondary, it's more like awareness.
Which is interesting enough, although so simple.
You don't know it.
But neither do adults.
Yeah. It is shocking. The amount of times I'm on break duty and they just run into each other like face, because there's no spatial awareness. It's just nothing. But I wanted to get into sport. I thought, I like that, I'll do that. And then I only really went to uni because I got in as well. I think I was kind of been riding the coattails. I got in. I applied for sports science. I didn't get into that one. I needed more UCAS points when they were.
I think you've got to get double science for that, don't you?
Yeah, or you had to do A science, so I didn't do like biology or chemistry or anything. So I did a foundation degree, so I was at uni for 4 years, come out with sport studies, and then I come out and was like, now what do I do?
I suppose, to be fair, it's something that I think a lot of sporty males kind of naturally progress into because they think, you think the options of once you've got that degree could be, obviously there's maybe more studying, but like you can move into physiotherapy, you can move into PE teaching, secondary school.
Yeah, one of my mates who did an NHS course is now an osteopath, and then one of my other mates who did sport is a biology teacher.
Because in the course, I only know this because after 3 months after quitting, we got a letter through.
Yeah.
You get to you kind of get a choice of where you want to, what route you want to go down. Be more specific.
So I really liked, and doing it from A-level, I loved psychology. I used to find it really interesting.
Yeah, very interesting subject.
So I chose to do sports psychology in my last 2 years, and I did sociology as well. And I did like sociology of extreme sports in my final year. And that just sounds really interesting. Yeah, I remember getting there and was like, I don't like this now.
What extreme sports like?
It was like sort of snowboarding and like all those things that you could possibly die doing, basically. And I thought it sounded really really cool. And then maybe it was because of the lad that did it, I didn't get on with him, because then I didn't click.
Well, I think I would agree to say that your experience, anyone's experience at school, is highly dependent on who they're being taught by.
Yeah.
Or in that particular subject.
Yeah, so I didn't click on it, and I was like, I'm not going to do that anymore. But obviously it's my final year, so I have to go or get like attendance or whatever. And I remember graduating, and he was the guy that said my name at the ceremony, and I went up and I went, "You didn't think you'd see me here, did you?" No. Just started laughing. He went, "No, you what can you say?"
You stuck it out.
That was it. But and then when I graduated, I come out, and I used to work in a bar before I went to uni. I worked in a bar for a couple of years. Came back, didn't know what I was going to do. Messaged the manager, go back to the bar for a bit.
And this is all London. This is all
This
here.
is all London. This was in Uxbridge.
Okay.
Go back to the bar for a bit. When I left, I was like supervising them, so I've been working a couple of years. I knew the way it worked. I went back, did that for a bit longer, and then my partner at the time was working with an agency as like a special needs TA. So and she'd get dotted around different schools. You kind of choose your hours because they call you and say, "Oh, we need a person here today. Can you make it? Yes or no?" And then she's like, "You should just do that, just for a bit, 'cause it's a bit more money as well, and it's just something nice to do."
Did you have to do your PGCE?
No,
Not
for that one. You didn't know. You just had to like get your CRB done, so get your criminal background check done.
They would have given you whatever you were teaching.
Yeah, it'd be, well, that wasn't covering classes. That was just 1-to-1.
Oh right, okay.
So that was specifically I would go in, and it was specifically children with special educational needs. So like it could be children with autism or Asperger's, anything like that. And then you just go in, and it usually they would be like, you go in, "Oh, I'm so and so from the agency because so and so's not in. What do you need me to do?" And then you just try and do it, and see how it fares. And then I did that for a couple of years. Obviously summer rolls around, I go back to the bar. I got a new bar in Shoreditch now. I'm moving up in the world. I'm in East London, and then get a call out for another day job at this school, and I go, "Yeah, I'll pop over." And then I was there for like a year, and then he said to me, "Oh, this opportunity is opened up to do your PGCE or your teacher training. Would you want to give it a go?" And I was like, "Yeah, I don't mind. Yeah, I'll try it." And then done nothing else since.
How is it working with kids with special needs? Is it a very rewarding but challenging job?
Yeah. That's the best way to put it. I think I think with teaching in general, I think obviously in special needs there's a lot more that you need to do. I think it's nicer because when you're like 1-to-1, you literally know how that child ticks. If I'm not in on one day and like something happens, you know why it happened, because I wasn't there and I didn't. They maybe did something different to what they were supposed to do, and I think it's nicer to just know what's going on. But in teaching in general, I think the cons are quite high, but the rewards are so like
satisfying.
Yeah, and they're pure, because it's what you do and you do it because you like it at the end of the day. So. The outweigh that.
My girlfriend works with similar children, and it is a very rewarding job. So she'll, often get sent videos of the kids that she's working with who are exercise, or she would have gone through like certain exercises with that child. Generally, kids with cerebral palsy.
Yeah.
So limited range of motion, maybe not be able to walk in certain ways, and then she'll work with them for a little while, and then like their parents will send her videos of like the kids like running or jumping or like skating, and you're like, wow. And she said she was like, it touches your heart how much it improves people's lives.
I think it's the and with that, it's seeing those changes. I think it's realizing that you did something. I think it's it can be quite grueling at times if you're doing something and you feel like you're doing it to death and nothing's happening and nothing's changing.
It's hard getting up doing the same thing every day, and but also for the parents though, like for the individual as a child, they get to the point where they start to understand that there are those disabilities, they are different, or they're seen to be different, and opportunities. They can't do certain things that other children do. They start to notice that more. But also as a parent, it must be pretty hard to
even accept.
Well. Yeah.
I think there's times where I've had to have quite difficult conversations with parents.
Yeah.
If they're not sort of accepting if their child has like additional needs or has other needs to other children.
It's a very hard conversation.
It's not ideal, yeah. But I think I read this thing a while back, and it was like being treated fair and being treated equals is different. So it was like you can't treat everybody equally if like the needs are different.
Yeah.
It's about treating them fairly, because obviously there's times where I'll do something in class or oh, that's not fair, they're doing this. I'm not right, but
it's fair to their needs.
Yeah, it's that's the way
but that's life,
we're
right?
learning. Yeah, massively. I think the biggest thing with teaching children, I think sometimes I forget it because I've not been teaching 6-year-olds this long. I was like in year 4 and year 3, so they're 8 and 9. They're a bit older. They have to let them be children, but then you realise that you are preparing them for like the world as well. Like you're teaching little people. They will go and become people. Yeah, and it's a mad thing to think about.
Just in that moment, they are the 3, 4, 5, whatever they are, but they're like little humans.
They'll never be that small again, and then the next day they'll be that small again, and they just keep going. And it's and like you said, it's so rewarding. It's really enjoyable. And I'll have a day where I spoke to my missus is a primary school teacher as well, and there's days where like, oh, this is tough here, but then there's days where something happens and it just cracks you up and you remember why you're doing it. Yeah, and they're the best ones.
Was this job affected by the whole 18 months of COVID? Did you have to do online learning, anything like that?
Yeah, so we in the school I was working in, when it was like the longer lockdowns, they were like a Google school. So they had like Google Classroom, so all the kids had Google logins. So we went straight into Google Classroom, so we were teaching them lessons online. They were still open for key worker children, and then because my school was in Stratford at this point, because I was living in West London, I wasn't going in. So in my year group there were 4 teachers, so 2 of them would go in and rotate with the key worker kids, and me and another teacher would teach online. So
do you think that made you a better teacher?
Yeah, definitely, because I think you have to think outside the box massively,
getting that message across.
Yeah, and it was in ways you could interact with them more, because I had all 4 classes or all 3 classes in one big call.
Yeah. Would their parents be on there as well?
Some of them would be.
Or in the background?
In the background, yeah. Usually their parents would, some of them would go logging in, needed help, parents would sort them out.
Yeah, you wouldn't imagine a 4-year-old to be like, Mum, just get a laptop out.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, to be fair,
on tablets they'll do it, yeah.
Yeah,
if I said load Candy Crush right now, it's like that.
Yeah.
But if it's DMFs, you're not Scooby.
The world is growing so fast with that kind of stuff.
I think because of that now, though, it's like, with us, like if our mum or dad ask us to sort the laptop out or the computer out, we can do that. Because we sort of grew up with it. Yeah. Whereas they've been born and it's already there.
Yeah, yeah.
So their understanding of it, they get it like that. Like I was teaching computing the other day, like coding lessons. And there's a lesson there, yeah. But I can just say to them, just go and have a go. And they just whiz. They just, because they just want to do it. So it's a lot nicer.
I listened, I heard, there's a guy that I listen to on Instagram and YouTube watches. I follow his stuff quite a lot. It's Gary Vaynerchuk. You've maybe heard of him. Maybe he's an American guy.
Yeah.
He has his own media company and everything else. And he said the other day that I think certain age groups, like especially like the 14 to like, well not 14 but young, like the 15 to 19, 21 age group, you get a lot of stick for like maybe being lazy, like in now. Mm-hmm. And he's like, they're not lazy, they just got options. Yeah. And he went in to be like, they have got options that we never had growing up. We learned, as you just said, we learned with the internet. Yeah. They're getting up and, you know, they're thinking, oh, I can make like £250,000 a year on YouTube. Why would I go to university, get a degree and do all that stuff?
Yeah, it is mad.
For 30, 40, 50, 60, whatever. And it's very interesting to see that. And there's also these like, NFTs, have you heard of those? Yeah. That are coming out, like this whole visual artwork. And with Facebook kind of leading that, actually. Do you know that? No. Facebook are leading that because they've changed their name to Meta.
Meta, yeah.
Which is the
it's
meta
like
world.
The infinity thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's the meta world. So soon, I think it'll be a case of like us being able to like watch this, be in the cinema, but you're not in the cinema. Yeah. Kids are learning this stuff.
It is mental.
Kids are learning this stuff on the computers.
It's crazy. It's like Minecraft, Roblox, all these like the games they play and stuff, and they just surpass anything. Because then like they're like kids' games, but then you can then write a code to make it sort of your own game in that game and do all sorts.
These children, like no matter what age, 6, because they're learning that they're on YouTube or they're finding it out on the internet. They're using tablets. Like the tablets are very easy for kids to use.
Yeah.
Computers were hard. I remember growing up and having Windows 95.
Yeah.
There was even one before that. I can't remember what it was, but definitely Windows 95. And I must have fucked up that computer so much. Downloading LimeWire.
LimeWire was the one. Yeah.
Just trying to like reset the computer for all the bugs I'd put on it.
Yeah.
And I learned a little bit about computers then, but the kids now it's very simple.
Just know it.
Open a tab, close it.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. But what my point was is that even at the age of like 6, 7, they're growing up around technology and things become a lot easier. Like learning for them in different, like it's very different to how we learn.
Yeah, I think, and then it meant that, like I said, I had to get more creative, but then you can also use more resources.
Yeah.
So we were like, essentially as a teacher, you have to constantly think on your feet anyway.
Well, in some way, more tech-based would be more appealing to them.
Yeah, they want to get involved more. So like, I did a music lesson. So I was teaching music before we left, and they all learn ukulele in class, and then like
Is that one of your skills? Can you play that?
I've learned a couple. I bought one in lockdown to learn a song just to play in the music lesson, but I did a lot of cushion drumming.
Okay.
Sick lesson on that. But
sure.
It was like they then had. So I thought, okay, music lesson. How can I teach music online? How can you teach music? So I had to like make up those random things. But you can find like, oh, there's a game here. I'll put that link in the chat. Go away and play that game. Come back, or GarageBand. Go away and make something with that and come back. And it's just about being creative and being flexible and just trying new things out. But at the time, obviously, I was a student at that point, so I could realistically, I can just try things, because if it don't work,
you could put that as feedback. Like,
yeah, like I'm just learning, how I go. Like obviously, people that have been teaching like 20 odd years, I think they sometimes are more rigid. So
yeah, and well, I guess you get your own certain. Everyone's got their own style of teaching, right? And maybe not the nicest thing to say, but I guess the longer someone's been teaching, the harder it is to change that habit of teaching.
Yeah, there's people I think it's just people. I've met people that are like so open to trying new things and changing them, and then it's tough when you go into workplaces as the new person and like the younger person, because then like there's been places where my mates, so like you go into a classroom with like a TA in there, has been in there for like 50 years. And you don't want to tell this person what, like, as you go into the class, you don't want to tell them what to do if you're changing, because they've been there longer than you've been, like, alive.
Yeah.
So you don't feel like you've got any rights almost, or authority to tell them how to do things. And there's been times, like, some people, they don't like it.
People don't be like told what to do.
It's very true.
Nor they don't like change.
Yeah, but I think overall, or even, like, COVID in general, a lot of people have had to just change regardless of,
whether you
of
like
anything,
it or not. But it's, as you know, there's a lot of teachers here, and I always ask the question about it making them a better teacher and stuff. And how have the kids responded to learning? Have they are they almost like, nah, not don't want to do it, or have they been more open to different ways and new styles
since COVID?
Yeah,
I think they are more after like the bigger lockdown. They are more open to everything. So you're just happy to be back into class. I think for a lot of them, like. You don't know what the home life is like. You don't know if they've got like siblings or anyone they can do with at home if mum and dad are still working, and then they're just doing nothing. So they enjoyed being back in class, and I think because of that, they wanted to learn. And it was then the hardest part about COVID, I think, was drawing the line between home and school, because they can come into school and do all the things you have to do and then go home and unwind. But now you're learning at home, so that line has now been crossed. And it's hard to then shut off when you've got back home now. Yeah. And even in school, it's hard to switch on and be like, I'm back in school now.
And that's very interesting you say that, because that's happening from children as little as 5, 6, right?
Yeah.
All the way to people 40, 50, 60 years of age.
Because they were all logging on or getting online to do some learning somehow.
But also the social skills that they lack, or they haven't developed yet, which could cause problems for a lot of individuals growing up, right?
Yeah.
Maybe harder to teach, harder to for them to be part of a group, harder for them to be told no. Those kind of things.
I have, there's always like children that you'll remember or you'll know because of those issues. I think I was told the other day that I'm quite an emotional teacher, but not like, I think it was more that I know their emotions kind of. So I think because when I went for interviews to get this new job, it was like, what would you think your biggest thing is to look out for kids now? And I was like, I said just like how they are, because he's been locked in the houses for like 3 years on and off.
Yeah.
They haven't been out, like the days of playing out are nearly dead. You don't go out and play football anymore. You play FIFA with your mates, and like you don't do these social things anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I got up to a lot of mischief like growing up.
Yeah, like knocking on people's doors and just putting things in letterboxes. Yeah, it's part of growing up.
Yeah, they don't do that.
Nah,
anymore. It's whatever the games are. You said them before.
Like Roblox and Minecraft and Fortnite and all that stuff.
And obviously the whole FIFA stuff. But they'd rather stay in, right?
Yeah, I think they have relationships, but then they're not social in a way. So like they know people, like they'll chat to them on games and stuff, but then they don't know how to like be with people. And obviously these are like my are like 6 and 7, but there's some of them where it's like the little catty stuff, like the nitty gritty stuff. It's like, oh, they stuck the tongue out at me, or they pinched me,
yeah.
And like that stuff. Like that's just like being young, but then they're not almost learning how to deal with it because they're not putting themselves in them situations in like their own time and like going out and playing with their mates in school and like in the street and stuff.
What would be your favoured age group to teach?
It's middle. I'd say middle school. So like year 5 and year 4. Or year 4 and 3, sorry. Because
of the response that they're able, like the interaction?
Yeah, I think they're a bit older. I think I wouldn't go 5 and 6 because they're just probably too old. I did a placement in year 6 and like the kids are like, they're all right. They're cheeky, which I like it. They're more savvy. But then when you get older, I feel like they start to have more of an opinion about education and more about what they're capable of. So if I got to year 6 and for 5 years they had a teacher that they didn't excel it with. Yeah, and they kind of said like, we'll labelled them in a way and said you're this, you're that, or whatever. Like, you stay in the break to this, that. And by the time they get to year 6, they've got an opinion of what they're capable of and what they can do. The younger they are, they're more moldable and they appreciate it more when you make a big deal out of something. Like my wall in class is full of all the drawings the kids have done me. Some of them are dead good. Some of them are just circles, but they're on the wall because they need to know that like they're valued and what they've given you, you appreciate that. And regardless of whether they think it's good or bad. Yeah, exactly. Like, and because that's the thing, they'll get onto each other about like, oh, that's rubbish. And I'm like, well, no, I really like it, actually. I think that's really good. They tried really hard there. So at the moment, this is my first time in Key Stage 1, and I found it really difficult to adjust at first because they are that small. So like little things like, oh, so-and-so stuck the tongue out at me. And I'm just like, okay. To me, that's not a massive deal. To them, that's the end of the world. Yeah. And I wasn't sure how to adjust and deal with that. I've gotten better now, but then like, so year 3 and year 4, they're just a bit more, they've got a bit more they've been in the world longer. They've developed a bit more skills. You kind of have more of a conversation with them on the level that you would do, I think. Yeah. And as a teacher, have you been able to separate yourself from work, like, because it's work has been brought home, been able to get that balance, that fine line? No, I don't think so. No. I think that's why I enjoy coming here, because then I come after work and I don't think about what I'm doing. I mean, when you're throwing a ball at a wall, you can't think of much else but getting that ball up there. But it's one of them things, which is why I said like the pros and cons list can be so close. Yeah. But the pros are so like rewarding that you don't think about the cons too much. I think it can take a lot out of you. I think I didn't realise how much it can take out of you, because you think, I had to do like a safeguarding training the other day, and you just think to yourself when you're getting into it, like you teach maths, English, science, teach all subjects, you have a nice time enjoying it, and then you go home. But then you go home and I'm planning lessons for the next day. I'm thinking about something that a child said to me, and is that sound right with what they've said to me previously? Like it's tough to switch it off. Yeah, I suppose you've got 30 kids and having 30 different profiles for each child. No two children are going to learn the same. No, definitely not. And it's just, and then that's what I mean. It's like, that's why I used to enjoy one-to-one as much as I did, because you just know one child in and out, and that's so rewarding, because then, like Connie says, you can see the changes, and you can see them growing day to day because of the work you're doing together. It's tougher with 30 of them, because then they're on different levels.
People excel at different rates.
You wouldn't know the more as well, obviously, on a one-to-one basis. But it's you're always just thinking about it. So even today, I was driving back to mine today, and I went, I forgot I've got a plan art for spring one when I get back. I've got to plan the lessons.
It's just non-stop.
There's days where, like, obviously, like, I think to me as well, it can be time management. If I get days to plan and stuff, and if I get them done, then I'm all right to just chill out and do nothing else.
And as a teacher, do you do well with the time off, in terms of like being able to go and explore new places, take the time back for you completely? Like, although it might be in the back of your mind, you get that time to be like, I'm on holiday, like the teacher's holiday. I've gotten better at it, I think, because I've only been, this is my second year now after I passed my PGCE. So I think when you're just getting involved, when you're starting, you want to show that you're like quite willing. So you don't really know where the line is, because you want to be like, I'll put me out of, I'll do that. I'll do 100 hours this week.
Yeah, that's it. Well, after school club, I'll be there.
Breakfast.
Yeah, that's it. Well, dinner, tea, I'm all over it. But as I've gotten onto it more, I've gotten better at like even the weekend gone or whatever, I'm like, I'm not looking at my emails. I don't log on to my emails on my phone anymore. Cause I did it at my old school, and then you just ping through. Obviously, if they send all staff, I'm getting it. Nothing's to do with me, but I've got to get it. So
but it's the best way. It is the best way. With those teacher holidays in mind, have you, I mean, granted the world situation now, have you got places in the world lined up that you want to be like, I want to go and explore here?
I want to go to Australia this coming, so I don't know if it'll happen. I was going to go. My brother lives out there.
All right.
And my brother's travelled all over the place, and he's always been like a person that if he's somewhere I could go and see him. So he lived in Australia a couple of years ago in Melbourne. I went to see him there. Then he went and lived in Brazil in the Pantanal, like the jungle.
Oh wow.
And he managed the lodge there because his wife is Swiss and it was her dad's lodge. So I went there for like 6 weeks out the summer.
Wow.
So I've only been to like places where it takes you ages to get to.
Two very good places.
Yeah, so I've been to like sort of like the little holidays. I've been to Spain, I've done Italy. I've done Greece, went to Prague for a stag, that was really good.
Yeah, I've done Prague.
But I went to Brazil and Australia, and they were just mad.
Which one did you prefer?
I'd say Brazil, because it was
food
was good. I was in the jungle.
Really?
So it was, I can show you a picture of the plane after. It was a 2-person plane, and I sat in the front to get there. So the guy's turning, and the steering wheel in front of me is moving, and he's looking at me. I'm looking at my brother like, do I turn this? Like, I don't know, because it was so remote. It was mad. Like, you had to fly. We did a week in Sao Paulo, and that was weird, because we said like an Airbnb, like a nice part of Sao Paulo, could get like an Uber through the city. My brother, because it's so remote, they brew their own bread or whatever it's called, get the yeast and make all the bread and stuff, and you could only get it in like the ghetto part of Sao Paulo.
It's not a nice place. Like,
no,
there's
like
dangerous.
It's almost like, you know, like you've seen City of God.
No,
there's like a line, and you cross that line, it turns to a completely different place. And we got a cab there, and I remember going through and like, purely by chance, 50 Cent is on the radio, like pumping, and there's these cars doing donuts now. There's graffiti all over the walls. There's people like with them big trolleys picking up plastic, and it's in Brazil. My brother's white, and I'm like obviously mixed race. I've got a tan, so I look like I'm from there. And he's the tourist.
Yeah.
And we get there, and everyone's looking at me and looking at him. I put my phone in my sock, and they're looking at me like I know what I'm doing.
But you have to do that, right?
I was just like,
stories.
I don't know what I'm doing here. And he can speak a bit Portuguese, brother, because obviously he went to order stuff to make this bread. So he's gone in there with a list, and they're looking at him like he shouldn't speak this language. They're looking at me like I should be translating. Yeah, we went out for a drink, and someone came to me and started talking to me in Portuguese, and I had to look at him, and he had to come over and translate for me. And then the person just looked so disappointed in me.
Yeah, like, you're supposed to.
Yeah, I expected better from you, man. Yeah.
But they're not. I mean, they wouldn't know otherwise. I suppose they probably see a lot. Over the last probably decade, 20 years, they probably see a lot of different cultures, different people come, and they're
Yeah.
starting to slowly accept that the world isn't just full of one culture.
Mm-hmm. But that was by far, I think, because that was just different. So I had to after Sao Paulo, we had to fly to a different little village, then got driven to like a runway where I literally got into a plane with just me, the pilot, my brother, and all of his bags. And then we got there, my brother rang his missus on the way there and was like, right, we're about 10 minutes away. Can you get like the cows off the runway? Like, that's how mad it was. And then land this plane.
That must be such a good experience, though.
It was the best experience I've had. And
is it like jungle heat as well? Like
yeah, 40 odd. And like, it was, my niece and nephew were like babies at the time. My niece like just about to turn 1. And they're just like jungle children. So like just naked, you know, no shoes, going around living life.
They'll be so grateful and thankful for that when they're older.
But
that is insane.
It was mad. And I haven't got a driver's license. I can drive a car, but I haven't got a driver's license. And they do like safari rides and stuff. So when my brothers, because I went there now, I would then help, because it was obviously like a lodge where people would go for an experience, and it's a bomb to go there, like, because it's so good.
Yeah,
and it's in the middle of nowhere, because they'll fly you out, get your accommodation, your food,
that
all
costs
sorts.
money, like
yeah. So as a barman, when I got there, I then helped in the kitchen, and I would be like chatting to all the guests, because obviously the kitchen workers couldn't speak English, so I would talk to them, and then go in and I had my phone, and like I'd have to translate and talk to the lady in the kitchen. And I remember I was like doing some washing or something, and I was trying to put the plates away, and I think I just googled like Portuguese for here. It was like aki or something. It was like aki, no, walk around, where's this go? And then driving guests around so my brother could do like the lodge, the tours and stuff.
That does sound insane.
It was mental.
Insane. And Melbourne, obviously not as good, but still a good experience.
Yeah. When I went there, that was for me. It was the experience that I thought, oh, I could settle down here and like live here.
Well, you've got sunlight, you've got beaches.
That's it. And it's just
a wave of depression has just come.
Yeah, it just goes, and I think it just seems that people just seem like they're happier. I think it's like
sunlight does that to people.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, the winters are cold, like, but even then, when I went to Melbourne, I said to my brother, I was meeting him for lunch. I think it was winter, it was summer. I went in August, it was like 17 degrees over there, and I got on the tram like a t-shirt. And they've all got like parkas on, and they're looking at me shivering. Brother was like, "Have you come just that?" I went, "Yeah." It's bloody freezing.
You're like, "No."
I went, "What?" I said, "This is a British summer." Like, yeah,
this is roasting.
Sunglasses on, and a beer on the tram, and all sorts.
It's I've not been to Australia. I'd love to go.
It's and it just seems like it's a whole different place, isn't it? Like, it's literally just in the middle of nowhere.
Well, the chances of us going now are very slim.
So he because he lives there now. I've not seen him for like 4 years.
Well, now they are letting more tourists in if there's a connection between you and an Australian.
Yeah.
But it's very hard to go there. You can't go there on holiday.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you can't. There has to be some sort of link or somewhere.
No, he sent me the thing the other day, because it was like the age, because they're so strict for all of it. Like, obviously, like any mud in your shoes, and you're going to be on. What's that? Nothing to declare straight away. Yeah. But they've upped the age of like where you can go and settle there now, because it was 30, I think it's 35 now.
Oh, is it? Oh, right.
Yeah.
That's like a 2-year process, isn't it?
Yeah, so you have to go, but you do like, because what my original plan was when I was younger, but then I had to work in my own country for a couple of years before I can teach abroad, was that you go and you do, I think it's 6 months out of a year on like a farm or something, picking like whatever. And then you get like an additional 2 years on like a working visa, just for doing that part for the country kind of thing. And you can stay longer.
Tick those boxes to be like, I've invested my time in it, basically.
Yeah. Like I'm here for the long haul. I'm not going over there to take the piss.
If you could, any other place that you would want to go and see?
I'd like to go.
That you haven't done?
Yeah, I'd like to go like to East Asia, like maybe like Korea or Malaysia. I mean, I was thinking about it today. I can't remember why. Oh, I was talking about listening to the radio when Mrs. and BTS come on.
Oh yeah,
and they're
blown up.
But they just like, the lads just seem so put together, and like I think we just said they seem so savvy, and like there was a video, and I think this was in China or something, but there was a McDonald's with an exercise bike in it. So you could sit and eat your Mackies
I've seen.
on the bike.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I was like, some of these places in East Asia, they just seem like the future.
Yeah, it is. It is mad. The we think technology here is big, but huge.
They just seem like they just know stuff.
That band has made quite a big impact.
They've blown up, just since that song with Coldplay.
Is that who is? Well, I mean, I know they've released 1 or 2 songs.
They had a song with Coldplay out, it's a good song.
And Coldplay are quite big as it is anyway.
Yeah, just UK and Korea coming together. That's what we'd love to see.
Yeah. What have you got planned in terms of like personal goals, whether it be career or fitness? What do you want out of the next few months?
I think just becoming more consistent with what I do now. I've been coming here since September now, I think, and I've been enjoying it. I'm enjoying it more and more.
Good.
As I come.
Good.
So I'd like to just keep that up. I think work's difficult because
a lot of unknowns.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So it could be after Christmas, I could be off again for 2 weeks, or it could be locked down for however long. I've got online learning again. I think getting used to teaching younger children something that I'm still developing. I'm getting better at it, which I enjoy it more.
But that's really good to be at that position where you're that you're still learning, you're still trying to better yourself to do that.
I think it's important to pick out the positives from things. I think I said this to someone the other day. Whenever you get observed or anything, and someone says to you oh, how did that go?
Yeah, we were talking about
and I said, oh, it was you.
Yeah.
I just said you always start with the negatives. You always start I would have done this, would have done that, and you need to pick out the positive things that you've done and the things that you have done well.
Yeah, it is.
I think, and my miss asked me what's been your highlights in 2021 this year, and we were thinking about it. I said, well, I got a new job. I joined a box and I really like it. And I feel fitter, and I've just seen massive improvements in that. I bought a bike which I've been cycling.
And in those cold evenings, freezing cold, you can guarantee that you're going to pop up with the bike.
I mean, it looks dead flash, so I can't not use it anymore. If it was black, I'd leave it home, but it's too flash to be not cycling now. But no, just to carry on doing what I'm doing, I think. And people ask me that. I think sometimes they say, what do you want to do or whatever, and I just kind of say, keep doing what I'm doing. And sometimes it sounds a bit like you think you know it all, you know what you're doing, but you just gotta.
Yeah, I think if you're in a position where things are working out well, you're having fun, you're enjoying things, you're not taking things too seriously, and actually you've got really good balance, then why would you want to change?
You don't need to tip it anything.
It's in the right, everything's flowing in the right direction, it's all working well.
So far so good.
So far so good. So fitness-wise is just, a case of enjoying it, just go through the process.
Yeah, I'm really liking it. I think the main thing I like at the moment is the gymnastic part of things that come here. When I had my chat with Sophie the other day, it was talking about getting me on the bar more and stuff like that, because I had an injury a couple of years ago, so sometimes it inhibits me in certain things. Okay. But I want to just keep doing things. I like getting more flexible massively.
Building on that.
Yeah. Mobility-wise is definite. I'm the most unflexible person going. It's that needs to change massively.
Well, you've been making use of the app and doing the stretches. Has that helped you?
It has, yeah. I feel better. I'm not like butter yet, but I do feel definitely better.
That's the aim.
That's the goal.
We've got the before, we just need the afters.
Yeah. Oh, I'll show you.
Sachi, we've run out of time for today, mate. Thank you very much for coming in.
I appreciate having you.
Appreciate your time. And guys and girls, join us next week.